I had an abortion in the 70s. I didn't have my faith in Jesus Christ then. I was coerced and pressured, as 85% of women who have abortions are. But I folded, and I take responsibility for that. In those days, abortion just became legal, and we were told that our babies, before 3 months gestation, were just a blob of tissue, a cluster of cells, a nobody, a nothing. That's not the truth. With the advent of the ultrasound machine, we can see the humanity of our babies right off. And God says in His Word, who to me is the ultimate authority, that He knows each and every one of us as He knits us together in our mother's womb. God doesn't make mistakes.
On January 20th, students at Benedictine College boarded buses for the annual March for Life in Washington, D.C. More than ever, they understood the need to make a powerful showing. This was the largest group of marchers in the college's history. Just hours earlier, the nation had inaugurated a new president. For all the historic value of his election, Barack Obama had promised to undo the progress pro-life forces had made in the last 35 years. The marchers planned to get his attention. 150 years earlier, Christian abolitionists left their homes back east and traveled these same roads to settle Kansas and keep it free from slavery. They hoped, much like these students, to touch the heart of Washington and the world.
I want them to know that Benedictine College respects life, and we're proud to stand up, and we're proud to travel 24 hours to show that to the people who are governing our country. I don't want to misquote anyone who talks about change, but I think we are change. We're the real change here.
On the night of January 20th, the students at John Carroll High School in Birmingham packed for their trip to Washington. 45 years earlier, students in Birmingham marched to protest another human rights abuse, the jailing of Reverend Martin Luther King. In his famous letter from the Birmingham jail, King compared his mission to that of the Apostle Paul. As Paul carried forward the gospel of Jesus Christ, so King would carry forward the gospel of freedom. These students would play their own small part in carrying forward not just the gospel of freedom, but the gospel of life. This gateway city has seen more than its share of pilgrims. Free Staters heading to Kansas, Mormons heading to Utah, homesteaders heading to sundry points west. On this cold January day, thousands of Missourians of all faiths began their pilgrimage to Washington, D.C.
People that have more power than us, that have more money than us, and so we need to remember one thing. God loves life. He loves all of us, and He even loves the abortionist and the woman that's going to go and have that abortion tomorrow. So we need to share that message that God loves life and He loves every person.
All right, excellent.
By historical standards, the sacrifice of the Missourians may have been small, but their cause by any standard was great. This, 19-year-old Drew Perkemper well understood.
With the Civil Rights Act or slavery or anything like that, where, it was obvious that there was injustice being done there, obvious that people were not being respected. But what's completely different about, abortion is that the people who were being most disrespected, the ones who are dying, can't actually do anything about it. And that's why I think this fight is so much more difficult, and why it takes, us to stand up for this, but it's a much more difficult and a complete, harder struggle, I think, in many cases.
The Alabama buses roll through the ancient tribal lands of the Creek and the Cherokee. When President Jackson ordered the tribes west on the infamous Trail of Tears, Christians shocked him by protesting. An angry Jackson would be the first president to argue that religion had no place in politics. He would not be the last. Though just 15, Mariel Gabensky understood the place religious values have in the public square.
Well, obviously, I'd like to see, or the government would see how many people are pro-life and want an end to abortion, and for them to see that not the whole United States wants abortion.
The Kansas students also saw the value of having their voices heard.
A lot of times it's very surprising for people seeing the number of people for the first time who are all united, and that's definitely, for a first timer, that's someone that may grow in their zeal for the movement just by seeing the sheer number of people there. And so being able to observe it and take it all in and really see for themselves how many people in America are pro-life, and that pro-lifers aren't just the weirdo person that you see walking down the hall at school, or some radical that's, just not likable at all. There's no stereotype for someone who's pro-life. It's just people who love life and love babies and want them all to have a chance at life.
And I think that this march from Benedictine, with as many people as we have, over 130 people, shows that young people especially are tired of the wrongs that are being done, and they want to do something about it.
Drew and his father Vince shared their reasons for making the journey.
Because we live in a culture that wants to, have laws to respect animals and, like plants and, the environment, things like that. Yet there's this human life here, and it allows, that human life to just be killed. And, to me that seems completely crazy, but I think what it really comes down to is that when it affects the person directly, the situation can change. It's easy for someone to say, let's save the whales or something like that, because that's not something that closely affects them. Versus, when they're pregnant, it's completely different.
You read the paper, it sounds like maybe 10,000 people are there. It's not that way. When you have 242,000, that's near 250,000 people that show up. And they've been showing up for 35 years. They've been showing up in January. They've been showing up when it's cold. And they show up for one reason, and that is to stand up for the unborn child, to stand up for life.
Buses from Kansas, Missouri, Alabama, and a score of other states roll through the night, heading for Washington, D.C. and their day of reckoning.
To be sing of your love forever. I could sing of your love forever. I could sing of your love forever. I could sing of your love forever.
We're here because we want to make a statement. We want to pray. More than anything, it's not about protesting or yelling at people or about our opinions, but it's coming here just to pray for the unborn, to pray for people who are fighting for life, and just being with other groups, being with other friends and other people, and just praying and praying for our country and our new president, and making sure that the country and our president are fighting for justice and are being wise in their decisions. We're Nebraska, and we're here because we're pro-life, and we're here to save some babies.
How are you going to do it?
We're going to do it by prayer. We're also going to do it by 86 Nebraskans standing behind a banner.
The Missourians rolled in just a little too late.
Building in 45 minutes. That's good.
So are you guys disappointed that it's all sold out?
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit disappointment, but at the same time as, you know, he's been saying, it's just so cool to know that whole building's filled. You know, filled with teens and just people who want to be there. So
I actually feel kind of good about it because that means that so many people are coming on the march that everything's all filled up.
Exactly. That's how I felt too.
I mean, it's kind of disappointing, but yeah, I think at first I was disappointed, but I think it's cool that we actually get to see a little bit of the city too, and see how many people are walking around that are obviously going to be on the pro-life march. So that's cool.
And the numbers are obviously a lot bigger than previous years.
Yeah. So it's going to be awesome. Yay!
There are few places in the world more beautiful than Washington, D.C., and fewer still more meaningful. Much history has been made here, and more would be made before the day was through. Here, nearly 150 years earlier, President Lincoln said to his fellow citizens, "Don't be deterred from a cause you believe to be just because of the probability you might fall." For the marchers, these words would have real meaning by week's end. Kansans pride themselves on being first to the morning rally on the Mall, the red-capped Benedictine students front and center among them.
Well, this is fun, isn't it?
You're coming back with us, right?
Well, I wouldn't miss that.
Still there. Oh, say does that
think about the days and the times we're living in, we sometimes become discouraged and we think that we're not going to be able to win in this country, but we will. Today, Thursday, January 22nd, we come here to deal with some unfinished business as it relates to the dream. We need change now more than ever. We are calling on the President of Change, President Barack Obama, to be an agent of change as it relates to the lives of over 1 million children who will be slaughtered in this, his first year as President of the United States by a horrible procedure called abortion.
Mr. President, isn't it time to immediately begin to shake off the shackles of our enslavement to the selfish pleasure principle, which says I had my fun and now the baby must die? A person, no matter how small. A person's a person, no matter how small.
The march attracted allies from an astonishing range of faiths, philosophies, ethnicities, and styles.
The roof has a good sign right there also.
Pro-life is saving babies' lives. That's what it's about. Obama needs to make up a decision to save the babies, not to kill them. You know what I'm saying?
Glorify thy name. Glorify thy name. Glorify thy name.
La vida es lo más precioso que Dios nos ha regalado y tenemos que defenderla aún con nuestra propia vida, si fuera necesario. La vida es precisamente preciosa.
Why are we killing ourselves? Why are we killing our children that we are having? Why are we killing the children that we ourselves commit, that we ourselves make?
2 days ago, we elected a president who said he wanted to bring civil rights to all, and that would include the unborn, and we hope that he would keep that promise true, that he would include all life, and he would regard the sanctity of life as something very precious, and that he would really see that the unborn child in the womb deserves life just as much as he or I or his children.
Mighty is our King, mighty is our Lord. He's the ruler of everything. He's the ruler of everything. He's the ruler of everything. Save the babies.
The march attracted the young from all over the country and the world.
Are you ready to march for life? Are you ready to say no to FOCA? Are you ready to say yes to life? Are you going to stop saying yes to life? No! We're going to continue this fight. We may have lost an election, we have not lost the war.
I think our government needs to get rid of Roe versus Wade. Every baby deserves a chance to live.
And we protect other people already alive. Shouldn't we protect
Yeah,
them?
we need to protect the unborn too. Give everyone an equal chance. That's what our country's about.
So, your name?
Chris.
Where are you from?
I'm from Boston, Mass.
And you?
Catherine.
Ryan.
And you?
Vinny.
How old are you?
17.
You're all from the same group? What's this sign say?
Face it, abortion kills a person.
Were you ever in the womb?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Why are you here? Are you passionate about it, or is it a party to you?
No,
Very passionate.
Yeah, passionate about it, definitely. It's
When-
something we really believe in.
1/3 of your generation is missing because of abortion. 1/3, 33%. So it could have been you. It could have been anyone. Who taught you about abortion?
I was supposed to be aborted.
Were you? Could you tell us that story?
I was born 2 months early with a sacrococcygeal teratoma. It's a tumor. The doctors thought that I was going to be